It's funny because at the time I had played on Beat It, on Michael Jackson's record, and his album went to #1, and our album was #2. Our single was #1, his single was #2.
Michael Jackson's Beat It is one of the most recognizable rock-infused pop songs in history. But few know the full story behind that blistering guitar solo. What if I told you the legendary Eddie Van Halen didn't just play the solo? He transformed the entire song in less than 30 minutes? This collaboration was a shocking crossover at a time when rock and pop rarely intersected so boldly. Behind the scenes, a surprising mix of secrecy, skepticism, and creative freedom shaped a moment that changed music forever. The Hidden Guitarist. When Michael Jackson's Beat It hit the airwaves in 1983, few listeners realized that one of rock's most iconic guitarists was hiding in plain sight on the record. Eddie Van Halen, renowned for his blazing solos with the band Van Halen, played the memorable guitar parts on Beat It, but did so without credit or fanfare. His involvement was kept secret, even from his own bandmates, making his contribution one of music's best-kept secrets. Yet, this hidden role was no accident. It began with skepticism and a refusal that only deepened the mystery around the solo's true origin. Most people expect stars like Eddie Van Halen to leap at any opportunity that raises their profile, especially one connected to Michael Jackson, the king of pop. But when Quincy Jones first called Van Halen, the guitarist thought it was a prank. Reports say Eddie hung up and cursed at the caller multiple times before realizing the request was real. This disbelief says a lot about the unusual nature of the collaboration. Why would a hard rock legend hesitate to play on a pop artist's track at a moment when rock and pop rarely mix? Van Halen was also known for a strong sense of loyalty to his band. He generally avoided side projects while working on Van Halen's albums. Taking on a gig outside the group was not something he did lightly. This loyalty added another layer of complexity to the whole arrangement. His decision to participate carried risks that extended beyond just personal skepticism. What's more, his role was strictly limited. Eddie agreed to play on the song, but with two ironclad conditions. He would not be credited, and Michael Jackson would not inform Van Halen's bandmates about his involvement. This secrecy was calculated to maintain the band's dynamics while allowing Eddie to explore this unexpected opportunity. It also made the story of his role in Beat It even more intriguing. The session began with Eddie showing resistance to the performed guitar solo, which then became the central piece of Beat It. The artist's guitar playing created a pop music with hard rock elements, which appealed to music fans and industry experts. The complete story about the origin of the solo required further research to show what actually happened during its development and what effects it produced. Eddie did not speak about his contributions to the song until it reached the top position on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. He believed that nobody would discover his involvement in the song until the track was released. The solo introduced innovative musical elements, which made it impossible for him to maintain the secret. The open-ended situation transformed the story into a more extensive narrative, which extended beyond his brief appearance. His music participation created music history consequences that spread throughout the industry, while backstage activities showed unusual conflicts and unexpected outcomes. The hidden credit between Eddie and the high stakes of the situation showed that more activities occurred than people understood at that time. The established system created a legendary performance that matched its electrifying sound through its artistic journey. Fans and critics developed theories about the real identity of the guitarist who created Beat It's signature sound throughout the years. Eddie's uncredited work turned into a powerful legend because of the rumors that spread throughout the industry. The complete truth of this hidden guitarist's involvement would eventually emerge, revealing a tale far richer than anyone expected. The hidden guitarist mystery created an opportunity to investigate the musical partnership, which introduced new artistic methods that developed into a cultural phenomenon. Michael Jackson and his team developed an unexpected artistic path, which they pursued because of specific external factors. There was a reason behind this surprising collaboration, something bigger than just a guest guitar solo: Jackson's rock ambition. Michael Jackson was already a global superstar by the early 1980s, but his team knew he needed a new sound to keep his momentum going in a music world shifting quickly away from disco. The anti-disco movement was strong, and Jackson's producer Quincy Jones saw an opportunity to inject rock's intensity into Michael's next album, Thriller. The goal was clear: create a harder edge to set the record apart and attract a wider audience. Quincy Jones began looking for a rock hit in the mold of popular songs like My Sharona by The Knack, a track that perfectly blended catchy pop with rock energy. The idea was to craft a song that could cross over seamlessly between genres, appealing to both pop and rock fans. This was a bold move for the king of pop, who had not previously attempted a genuine rock song. When Jones needed a guitarist to deliver something unforgettable, the name Eddie Van Halen stood out. He was the ideal choice, a hard rock legend whose style was instantly recognizable and hugely influential. Enlisting Eddie was a statement of intent, signaling that Thriller would not be confined by genre boundaries. If anyone could bring the rock authenticity needed, it was him. This invitation was unusual. Pop stars typically collaborated with session musicians or guitarists within their own orbit. Michael Jackson calling on Eddie Van Halen was a rare bridge between two very different musical worlds. The move also reflected Jackson's willingness to experiment and push creative limits. The method Quincy Jones employed created doubts about its effectiveness. Would a guitar expert like Eddie Van Halen show interest in working on a pop album? The Thriller production needed radio-ready sound, which required different playing techniques from his regular playing style. The project became more exciting because of these unknown elements, which remained undefined. The ambition behind Beat It was more than just a leap into rock. It was a calculated effort to smash musical stereotypes. Michael Jackson wanted to break free from the confines of his established image and tap into rock's raw power. The band chose this path because they wanted to achieve their goals through high-energy music, which featured strong guitar riffs. The team wanted to create something that would have both explosive power and unique qualities. Eddie Van Halen elevated the song through his unexpected capabilities, which Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones kept secret from outsiders. Jackson reportedly encouraged Van Halen to do whatever you want with the solo, a rare level of freedom that invited creative risk-taking. The establishment of trust became a fundamental requirement for their cooperation. The decision to bring Eddie Van Halen into the world of pop was one part vision, one part risk, and one part genius. It opened the door for one of the most memorable and influential guitar solos in music history, a solo that would define both the song and the era. This bold rock ambition set the stage for what would become an extraordinary session. But Eddie Van Halen's initial reaction to the opportunity was anything but enthusiastic. Van Halen's initial reaction. When Eddie Van Halen first received the call from Quincy Jones, his reaction was shock and disbelief. The legendary guitarist reportedly thought the request to play on Michael Jackson's track was a prank. According to various accounts, including those from Van Halen himself, he hung up on Jones multiple times and even cursed before realizing the call was genuine. Such a response speaks volumes about how unexpected the collaboration was. Eddie was known for his dedication to his band and was wary of outside projects that might distract or compromise his work. Taking time away from Van Halen to record a pop song did not seem to align with his priorities. This made the invitation not only surprising, but also fraught with potential conflict. What changed Eddie's mind was a mix of curiosity and the possibility of trying something new without the usual pressures. He agreed to join the project on two key conditions: that he remain anonymous and that Michael Jackson not inform Van Halen's bandmates. This kept the collaboration under wraps and allowed him to explore this outside opportunity quietly. Van Halen's secrecy wasn't just about protecting band dynamics, it reflected a genuine uncertainty about how his contribution would be received. Could a hard rock guitarist really improve a pop star's track without alienating fans on either side? Eddie faced the possibility that his involvement might confuse or upset Van Halen's fan base. Despite his initial hesitation, Eddie brought his full creative power to the session. He wasn't there just to play a solo. His input went far beyond a simple guest spot. With complete freedom from Quincy Jones to shape the guitar parts as he saw fit, Eddie made bold changes to the song's arrangement before laying down two guitar solos. Remarkably, the whole process took less than 30 minutes, a testament to Eddie's virtuosity and instinct. His ability to quickly rework a song and deliver a memorable solo remains legendary. This swift, confident approach was everything the track needed to launch its iconic status. Michael Jackson reportedly praised Eddie's contributions, telling him he made the song better by adding his high, fast stuff. This approval was important, as it reassured Eddie that his creative risks were welcomed and valued. Their collaboration was a genuine meeting of musical minds. However, Eddie did not initially ask to be paid for his work on Beat It, a decision that later became one of his few regrets. The song's massive success far outpaced expectations, and the solo became one of the most celebrated guitar performances in rock and pop history. This complicated beginning, the hesitation, the surprise, the secret agreement, added layers to the story behind Beat It's guitar solo. But Eddie's impact would soon become impossible to ignore, both in the music world and beyond. The transformation Eddie brought to the track was just the start of a story that would ripple through his career and music history alike. The recording session. When Eddie Van Halen arrived at the studio to record the solo for Beat It, he was given unprecedented freedom. Quincy Jones famously told him to do whatever you want with the guitar parts, trusting Eddie's instinct to bring the song to life. This rare creative license was more than just a solo. Eddie completely reimagined parts of the track itself. Instead of playing over a fixed structure, he rearranged sections of the chorus and reshaped the middle of the song to fit his vision. Eddie's ability to dissect and rebuild a song on the spot demonstrates why he's widely regarded as one of rock's most inventive guitarists. Rather than locking into a simple guest role, he saw the track as a canvas and sculpted it with precision. His changes added tension and dynamics that weren't in the original demo. The result made Beat It feel more powerful and urgent, perfectly blending rock's raw energy with Michael Jackson's pop sensibility. The recording process was famously rapid. Eddie reportedly laid down 2 masterful guitar solos in under 30 minutes, a display of his virtuosity and confidence. This speed wasn't rushed sloppiness, but the product of decades honing his craft and a deep understanding of what the song needed. His solos burst with blistering runs, innovative tapping, and intense emotion that elevated the moment beyond a typical pop hit. Rather than diluting the track, Eddie's contribution gave Beat It a hard rock heartbeat. His solos didn't clash with the pop elements, they enhanced them. Michael Jackson himself was reportedly thrilled with the changes. After the session, Eddie nervously said, "I hope you don't mind that I changed your song." Jackson's reply was simple and encouraging, "No, I like that high, fast stuff you do." The exchange demonstrates mutual respect between the two parties, but shows they want to work together. Eddie designed his music style according to the song creation process, but added his personal trademark elements. The collaboration between artists who belong to different musical worlds demonstrates that artists can achieve breakthrough innovations through their partnership. The remix of Beat It into a rock-pop hybrid showed creative risks, which resulted in major success. The session created a unique opportunity to eliminate all musical restrictions between different genres. Eddie developed an innovative method, which he used to examine pop music through its guitar components instead of its standard vocal approach. His performance proved that skilled rock guitar playing should exist within the framework of mainstream pop music. The music industry established new standards for creative partnerships through that particular moment. Eddie used the session as his opportunity to create new material after he gained full access to the original work. The artist demonstrates his exceptional musical understanding and technical skill through his ability to complete this task within a limited time frame. The track Beat It achieved its success through the unexpected artistic choices, which brought forth powerful musical elements. The recording session brought 2 recording aspects together, which developed into a musical innovation that achieved successful mainstream appeal. Eddie transformed Beat It into a powerful rock song through his original artistic vision and his powerful guitar performances. The track established a new standard for musical fusion, which mixed 2 distinct styles to create dynamic results. The first creative moment of recording initiated a sequence of events that produced numerous stories and myths about the session. The recording features a mysterious sound that arrives before the guitar solo starts. The quiet knock heard in the studio before Eddie's solo would inspire stories as memorable as the guitar itself. The knock heard round the studio, just before Eddie Van Halen's electrifying solo crashes into Beat It, listeners can hear a distinct knocking sound. For years, this brief but recognizable noise sparked speculation and legend among fans. Some believed it was Eddie banging on the studio door, possibly impatient or even intoxicated, trying to get inside and start recording. The image of the guitar hero impatiently knocking has become part of the song's folklore. However, these theories don't stand up to close scrutiny. Investigations by music journalists and insiders suggest that the knocking is simply a sound effect or a cue built into the track rather than an actual outburst. It was likely intended to add atmosphere and anticipation before the solo takes over. The idea that Eddie was knocking drunk is almost certainly just a myth, albeit a compelling one. What makes this knock so fascinating is how it mirrors the underlying tension of the entire collaboration. Behind the scenes, Eddie was indeed stepping into unfamiliar territory, blending his hard rock approach with Michael Jackson's pop sensibility. The knock can be viewed as a symbolic prelude to this bold intrusion, a sonic signal that something exciting and unconventional is about to happen. This brief moment before the solo became a focal point for fans who dissect every detail of Beat It. It highlights how even small sounds can inspire stories and contribute to the magic of a track. The knocking sound, while simple, underscores the blending of raw rock edge with polished production. The myth surrounding the knocking sound also plays into the wider narrative of Eddie's reluctant but ultimately decisive involvement. His journey from skepticism to creative freedom is echoed in that single percussive strike. It's almost like a drum roll announcing his arrival on the record, a subtle foreshadowing of the fireworks to come. Despite the myths, what matters most is the solo that follows, fiery, precise, and groundbreaking. The knocking sound is a brief curiosity, but Eddie's guitar work is the lasting legacy. That solo carried weight far beyond a typical session player's contribution. It changed the landscape of popular music. Music historians and critics often point to this moment as symbolic of the fearless collaboration between two giants from different worlds. The knocking might be a studio effect, or nothing of consequence. But its place in the Beat It story is secure. It serves as a gateway into the legendary solo that follows, a signal of the creative explosion Eddie Van Halen was about to unleash. For all its simplicity, this knocking sound connects the behind-the-scenes reality with the music's mythology. It reminds listeners that great art sometimes includes mysterious or unexpected touches that spark imagination and curiosity. The mystery adds to the timeless appeal of the solo and its place in music history. Even as fans debate the origins of that single knock, there's no denying that Eddie Van Halen's guitar solo remains one of the most influential and electrifying moments in the crossover of rock and pop. The knock is just the spark before the flame, and the flame burns brighter than ever. The secrecy and surprise. Despite Eddie Van Halen's explosive contribution to Beat It, he insisted on staying under the radar. One of his two main conditions before agreeing to play was that he wouldn't be credited on the record. Eddie didn't want the spotlight to shift away from his band, nor did he want to complicate the delicate dynamics within Van Halen. This insistence on anonymity created an air of mystery that surrounded his role for years. Moreover, Michael Jackson agreed not to tell anyone in Van Halen's band about Eddie's involvement. This silence wasn't just a formality. It was a promise Eddie took seriously. He wanted to avoid any backlash or jealousy from his bandmates, fearing that a high-profile session like this might cause tension or accusations of divided loyalties. Protecting these relationships was as important to Eddie as the music itself. The secrecy extended beyond the band. The album Thriller and its single Beat It were climbing the charts fast, gaining massive attention for Michael Jackson. Meanwhile, the man behind the iconic guitar solo went unrecognized in official credits, blending into the background despite becoming a central element of the song's appeal. This delicate balance created a unique behind-the-scenes story. It wasn't long before fans and music insiders started picking up on the unmistakable Van Halen guitar style. When Beat It came on in public spaces, Listeners would comment on how the solo sounded like Eddie's playing. One day, Eddie was browsing a Tower Records store in Sherman Oaks, Los Angeles, when some customers remarked on the similarity. Rather than deny it, Eddie smiled and tapped one of the kids on the shoulder, quietly confessing that the solo was indeed his. The bandmates failed to maintain their secret because hiding it proved to be more challenging than expected. The news became public, which revealed to the Van Halen band members that one of their members had worked on a pop music project. Eddie used different reasons to justify his actions, while he humorously claimed that band members were unavailable and he needed their approval. His street skills remained untouched because the solo performance showed his exceptional talent. The hidden recording session brought about funny moments, which created uncomfortable situations. Eddie's bandmates showed both affection and admiration for his music while they mocked him. The path that he chose to follow became a surprise for his career because he unexpectedly started a pop music project without notifying anyone. The way they accepted him showed their belief in his abilities, which they found impossible to understand. The financial situation of the business suffered because people chose to keep things secret. Eddie had never formally asked to be paid for the work on Beat It. He considered it a favor because he worked on it as a secondary project, which he expected to achieve moderate success. The mistake led him to lose royalties from one of the most successful singles that appeared in the United States. The combination of unplanned generosity with untraceable benefactors created additional elements for Eddie's Beat It story, which showed his artistic pride together with his humble nature and the unexpected results that followed. The musician dedicated himself to his music career because he believed in its worth beyond any potential success, which would ultimately find him later. The session's hidden nature created a stronger legend, which made the ultimate discovery more powerful. The secret collaboration operated like a curtain that concealed a story about trust and respect that involved both personal and professional relationship boundaries. This relationship served as the necessary foundation that preceded the events that followed the massive success of Beat It. Even as the song raced to the top of the charts, Eddie Van Halen was still grappling with what this meant for his own band and career. The aftermath and recognition. As Beat It climbed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and soared to global fame, Eddie Van Halen watched in astonishment. The song, carrying the guitar solo that had taken him less than half an hour to record, was outperforming Van Halen's own album, released around the same time. For an artist proud of his band's work, this was a surprising moment, mixed with conflicting emotions. Eddie later shared in interviews that he initially believed nobody would ever find out he played on the track. He thought his contribution would stay a secret, hidden behind Michael Jackson's towering persona. But the soaring popularity of Thriller and Beat It shattered that illusion. Fans and critics alike were quick to pick up on the unmistakable guitar work, lifting Eddie's profile in unexpected ways. The revelation that Eddie had played on such a massive pop hit did cause ripples within the Van Halen camp. Bandmates expressed a mixture of amazement, pride, and, in some cases, good-natured ribbing. Eddie himself tried to explain his pop detour with humor, pointing to circumstances that had made it difficult to ask for official permission or inform everyone. The friendly teasing was a sign their camaraderie endured despite the surprise. Moreover, Eddie's street cred as a hard rock legend remained secure. His work on Beat It did not diminish his reputation. If anything, it expanded his influence beyond the usual hard rock realm. The collaboration proved that a guitarist known for shredding arenas could cross genre lines and still maintain respect among his peers and fans. The financial aspects presented a major problem to resolve. Eddie did not establish a payment agreement for his work, and he did not demand any percentage of royalties. He lost out on significant earnings from Beat It because he failed to receive proper recognition for his contributions to the song's tremendous success through its sales and radio broadcasts. This became one of Eddie's rare regrets amid an otherwise triumphant story. Eddie's career developed into a new phase after he received his first recognition. The solo performance established a major turning point for the song, while creating new opportunities for rock music to merge with pop music. Music insiders started to acknowledge his talent for transforming a pop song into a genuine rock performance through his authentic rock musicianship. The achievement served as a significant accomplishment, which expanded Eddie's permanent record of accomplishment. Michael Jackson developed a different relationship with rock music after he left the stage because his success with Beat It led to more experimental music styles in both Thriller and future projects. Eddie's musical contributions went beyond his first performance because he created the sound, which defined a monumental album that became an iconic record for his generation. Eddie received validation for his daring decision to leave the hard rock genre when he received his first recognition. The partnership increased his musical range through new artistic options, which created a cultural element that continues to exist in modern society. His musical performance on Beat It established him as an artist who fearlessly pursued innovative artistic expression while breaking conventional artistic boundaries. From secrecy to stardom, the journey of Eddie Van Halen's iconic Beat It solo is a story about risk, recognition, and the lasting power of artistry. Legacy of the solo. Eddie Van Halen's guitar solo on Beat It didn't just elevate a song, it reshaped how rock and pop could exist together. At a time when genres stayed in their own lanes, this moment broke the rules. It proved that a high-energy, technically sharp rock solo could live inside a mainstream pop track without losing its edge. That alone shifted how artists and listeners thought about crossover music. The impact didn't stop in the 1980s. Guitarists from different genres still point to this solo as a turning point, where skill met wide appeal. Eddie didn't hold back his style. He brought his signature sound straight into a pop anthem, raising expectations for what a guitar solo could be on radio-friendly songs. After that, collaborations between rock musicians and pop artists felt not only possible, but powerful. The song Beat It created a new artistic dimension for Eddie himself. He was already known as a groundbreaking guitarist with Van Halen, but this showed something more. The display proved his ability to perform at a superior level in any environment. Artists who wanted to create something new needed both technical skill and the ability to take artistic risks. The artist achieved success through the dangerous choice he made. Michael Jackson benefited from the partnership because it strengthened his reputation as an artist who embraced creative experimentation. The combination of rock music and pop music established a successful formula rather than a temporary marketing technique. The combination of bold decisions and creative work helped transform Thriller into one of the most successful music albums in history. The legend of the solo evolved through its backstory throughout different periods. The people who participated in the session gave Eddie complete control over the recording session, which created an atmosphere of suspense that still exists today. The solo developed into an unplanned, spontaneous moment, which captured an unpredictable moment of brilliance. The way artists collaborate now receives a complete transformation through this method. The moment Quincy Jones instructed Eddie to create anything he desired, an authentic creative environment emerged. The team established a system of trust which allowed complete artistic expression without any boundaries. The secret solo track became public because its musical quality could not be kept concealed. The musical piece made a significant impact because of its powerful effectiveness. The performance became one of Eddie Van Halen's main achievements, which demonstrated that success occurs when people get ready for opportunities to arise. The guitar solo proves that when musicians remove their artistic limits, they create something that becomes a timeless masterpiece. Eddie Van Halen's Beat It solo changed music history by bridging rock and pop in a way no one expected. It wasn't just a great guitar solo, it was a bold, creative leap that still inspires today. If you enjoyed uncovering this story, hit like and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite music legends. And tap the video on your screen next, because there's another story waiting that takes this legacy even further.